How many of us can honestly say we know when the Islamic New Year begins? Not the Gregorian one that fills our screens every January. I'm talking about the calendar that Allah himself ordained, the Hijri calendar. If someone were to ask you right now, what's the first month of the Islamic year? Would you be able to answer without opening Google? We live by a system that prioritizes everything but our faith's calendar. Our lives revolve around January deadlines, school semesters, tax seasons, and vacation plans. But the sacred calendar that traces back to the migration of the Prophet, the moment Islam's presence was solidified in Medina, we barely acknowledge it when it resets. And that first month, it's Muharram, a name that means sacred, yet often slips past us without a whisper. There are no festive celebrations, no fireworks, no Eid gatherings to mark its arrival. No invitations flood our inboxes. Instead, it slips in quietly, almost as if Allah is saying, this one is just for the ones who are truly paying attention. And maybe that's the test, because Muharram isn't meant to be loud. It's not meant to be wrapped in decorations and social hype. It's spiritual, silent, and deeply personal. It's a sacred opportunity, not to perform, but to return. And that's what makes it so powerful. If you've been feeling that quiet pull in your chest, the kind that makes you want to pause everything and just reconnect with Allah, then maybe this is your moment. Not a grand, emotional high, just a soft whisper. It's time to come back. You told yourself this year would be different, didn't you? That you finally fix your habits. Be more consistent in your salah, more present in your dua. That you'd finally become the version of yourself you always imagined. But somehow, here you are again. Another Islamic year has begun. Muharram arrived quietly, and your heart still feels heavy, distant, unchanged. No spiritual high, no internal fireworks. Just the weight of another year slipping through your fingers. That uncomfortable feeling that you're still spiritually stuck in the same place you promised yourself you'd move on from last year. And maybe that's why you clicked on this video. Not because you're looking for a motivational pep talk, but because you're searching for something real, something gentle, something that meets you exactly where you are, spiritually exhausted, quietly yearning. You don't need another lecture. You need a way back in. So in this video, we're not going to romanticize Muharram. We're going to honor it for what it truly is, a sacred pause, a divine opportunity to return to Allah, not in noise, but in stillness. We're going to walk through 7 simple, powerful things you can do this month, not to prove anything to anyone, not to feel religious, but to finally reconnect with Allah, not for perfection, just for sincerity. The hardest part of spiritual exhaustion, no one sees it. You're still showing up at work, answering messages, keeping up appearances, smiling when you need to, laughing at the right moments. But deep down, you know the truth. Your soul has been dragging. That hidden heaviness, the kind you can't explain to anyone. That's where Muharram becomes a lifeline from Allah. Because this sacred month, it doesn't demand performance. It doesn't require a social media post about your spiritual reset. It doesn't expect you to announce anything to anyone. It simply invites you, silently, back to Allah, privately, personally, without noise. And here's the mercy. You don't have to fix your entire life in 1 month. But you can choose to walk away from one thing that's been draining you, even if just for a few days. Maybe it's that endless doom scrolling that's numbed your heart. Maybe it's a haram conversation you keep justifying. Maybe it's a sin that's quietly become your guilty comfort. You already know what it is. That one thing that's been silently pulling you away from Allah, bit by bit. So pause it, interrupt it, just for a few days. Even if you fall again later, let Muharram be a disruption in that cycle, a quiet resistance, a small rebellion against your nafs, not to prove anything, not to feel better than anyone, just to whisper back to Allah, I'm trying. I don't want to lose you. Please don't let go of me. Because sometimes the strongest act of worship isn't loud or visible. It's the quiet, hidden moment when you choose to walk away from what's been slowly killing your soul. 3. Learn why Muharram is actually sacred. We all grew up hearing about Ramadan. Its importance, its blessings, its rewards. We felt its arrival in the air, in the masjid, in our homes. There was a collective energy. We had a reason to care. But ask most people today, what makes Muharram sacred? Silence. We don't talk about it. We don't pause for it. Most of us can't even explain why Allah called this month sacred. And that's not a small oversight. It's a spiritual vulnerability. Because that's exactly how Shaitan wins sometimes. He doesn't always lure you into blatant sin. Sometimes he just keeps you unaware of the very things that could have saved you. The Prophet Muhammad said, "The best fasts after the month of Ramadan are in the month of Allah, Muharram." Source, Sahih Muslim. The month of Allah. He literally gave this month a title that links it directly to him, and yet many of us don't even know that hadith exists. This isn't some footnote in the Islamic calendar. This is a month where rewards are multiplied, where sins weigh heavier, and where your choices echo louder in the unseen world. So why aren't we talking about it? Because no one reminded us. So let this be your reminder. Learn what makes this month sacred. Read the ayahs about the 4 sacred months. Study how the early Muslims revered these moments in time. Watch how the Sahaba treated these days differently. Notice how intentional they were with their deeds. Because when you understand a way to Muharram, you won't see it the same way again. You'll wonder, how did I live this long without knowing? And the beauty is, that question alone is a mercy. If you're asking it now, it means your heart still wants to come back. For increase in private istighfar, not performances, just truth. Let's be honest for a second. Many of us have turned istighfar, seeking forgiveness, into background noise. A few astaghfirullah muttered while scrolling social media, half-whispered between tasks. Sleepy habits more than sincere pleas. But that's not the istighfar this month calls for. Not now. Not anymore. Because if we're honest, this past year wasn't perfect. We slipped. We broke promises we made to ourselves. We delayed repentance for sins we knew better than. We told ourselves we'd change after Ramadan, but didn't. And still, here we are, another Islamic year, another chance. And Allah still hasn't exposed us. That alone should humble us. Not because we're doomed, but because Allah is still being patient with us. That's the kind of istighfar Muharram is for. Not the public kind. Not the Instagram kind. Not the performance for others. Just you and Allah. Just quiet guilt. Just one-on-one, unfiltered regret. This month isn't about external rebranding. It's about internal repair. Take 10 minutes every night this month. Sit with Allah. Just talk. No fancy script. No memorized duet. Just truth. Ya Allah, this is what I did. This is what I've been hiding. This is how tired I am of carrying this. The Prophet used to say astaghfirullah more than 70 times a day, and he had no sins. So what about us? What if tonight's istighfar is the one that softens your heart again? What if this month, this silent month, is your last moment of mercy before the next test comes? Don't wait until you're broken. Return now, even if you fall again, even if you don't know how to quit. Just build the habit of returning, consistently, privately, with your head low and your hope high, because this is how hearts heal. Number 5. Disconnect to reconnect. Less noise, more Qur'an. This one won't trend. It's not flashy or fun. It's not a 5-minute motivational hack or shortcut to feeling better. In fact, it's a complete opposite. It's uncomfortable. It's quiet. And that's exactly why it works. Because in that silence, when the noise dies and your distractions fade, that's when your thoughts start speaking again. And maybe, just maybe, that's exactly where Allah has been waiting for you. Muharram is not a month of celebration. It's a sacred space and time. And sacredness doesn't grow in noisy places. The truth is, many of us scroll past more Qur'an quotes than we actually recite. We watch more Islamic content than we truly reflect on. So here's a quiet challenge. For just 1 week this month, disconnect more than you post. Delete one app. Mute one group chat. Replace just 10 minutes of mindless scrolling with 10 minutes of real Qur'an recitation. Not for the sake of a social media post. Not to finish a certain number of pages. But simply to sit with the words that were sent to heal you. Open the Qur'an. No timer. No pressure. No end goal. Just read. Just feel. Just listen. The Prophet said, "The hearts become rusty just like iron becomes rusty, and the way to polish them is by the remembrance of Allah and the recitation of Qur'an." So polish your heart this Muharram, quietly, without needing to impress anyone. Just you, the Qur'an, and the Lord who never left your side. Because sometimes your soul doesn't need more motivation. It just needs less noise. Number 6. Make a private Muharram dua list. Let's be honest. Most of us treat dua like a side note, an afterthought, a few vague words whispered after Salah. Ya Allah, guide me, forgive me, make it easy. But if you're truly honest with yourself, you know that's not everything your heart is carrying. There are things inside of you, griefs, regrets, longings you've never said out loud, not to your closest friends, not even to your journal. But Allah already knows. He's just waiting for you to admit them. To him, Muharram is one of the 4 sacred months. The doors to mercy are wide open. The rewards are multiplied. This isn't a time for generic duas. This is a time for raw, real, deeply personal conversations with your Creator. So here's what you do. Make a dua list. Not the aesthetic kind. Not a Pinterest-worthy one. A real one. A painful one. A list you don't show anyone but Allah. Write down what hurts. The sins you're ashamed of. The things you thought you'd be over by now. The parts of you that are still struggling. The dreams you buried because life got too loud. This isn't about manifesting. It's about surrendering. You don't need eloquent words. You don't need to sound religious. You just need to be honest. And if you ever thought, dua doesn't work, maybe it's because you've never made one from the most broken, unfiltered part of you. Try it, just once this month. One deep conversation where you tell Allah everything you never dared say. You might be surprised how quickly things begin to shift. Before we end, let's get something clear. This isn't the ultimate Muharram checklist. These aren't the only things to do. They're just starting points, soft, sincere, accessible action for those of us who feel like we've been far. Because maybe that's what you needed. Not pressure, not guilt, not perfection. Just a quiet way back. And if you even do one of these things, just one, that's enough. Because Allah doesn't measure movement by milestones. He sees intention, effort, the little steps. And if this video nudged your heart even slightly, then alhamdulillah, that's your start. Here's your last action. Drop a small dua in the comments. Don't explain the whole story. Just write one line, honest and raw. Something like, Ya Allah, I don't want to waste this year like I wasted the last. Who knows? Maybe someone will say Ameen, and maybe that's all it takes. If this reminder helped, pass it on. Not for likes or views, just for the barakah of sharing care. And if you're still here reading this at the end, I appreciate you. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the bell. Because reminders like these, we all need them, even the ones who give them. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And may this be the year you quietly, gently, but truly come back to yourself. Ameen.